Welcome to another collaboration between FirstDown Playbook and USA Football's Coaching Coordinator podcast. And we're bringing you again another week of All 22 Tuesday. So we're going to look at some plays from this past week and talk about some developing trends. And as always, joining us is Charlie Quinn of FirstDown Playbook, former NFL coach. Charlie, always great to talk ball with you.
Keith, great to be here. We're starting up. We got the real thing going now in college. So, this will be fun.
And Zach Dunn, who is our coordinator of coach content at USA Football and does a lot of analysis work. So, Zach, always good to have you here as well.
Thanks for having me, Keith.
So let's take a look here at our first play for this week. We're looking at the Clemson versus Georgia Tech game, and we see kind of a blast from the past here. It's been a while since I've seen a sprint draw, but Charlie, it looks like that's what we have here, a version of sprint draw that definitely gives a counter feel to it.
It does. So what we've got is essentially we've got a 3-by-1 set with a tight end. I call it a nub on the into the boundary to the left. And to the field, we've got another tight end off the ball, a slot off the ball, and the widest receiver on the ball. And so obviously you've got a lot of weapons here, with Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne as the back, who I think he had 205 yards on 12 carries, but 90 of it came on this one right here. So they're on the 10-yard line here, and a lot of different combinations. And those of you who are watching this, as we're talking about it, will see that I've got it called speed option draw counter, because there's a little bit of all those elements in it when I look at it. So you've got Lawrence in the pistol. He takes the snap and opens up, and hard opens up to the right. And so does Etienne. And it almost looks like it's going to be speed option. And so obviously you're respecting the heck out of that to the field out there with 3 blockers and all that. So Georgia Tech, for the most part, everybody is screaming with their hair on fire to the field. Now, it's when you're looking at the blocking scheme, pretty much all it is, it's almost like a turn protection, and you're trying to get beat across your face. Now, the drawing's a little bit, as you're looking at it, what you're going to see is the play side linebacker, the field linebacker and the field 3 technique are totally unblocked. Now, I believe the field linebacker was supposed to be like that. Probably should have gotten a little bit more on the 3 technique, the right tackle, than he did. So what happens is essentially the quarterback has an underhanded handoff to number 9, Etienne, and he is forced to cut it back because of 93. But the flow was so strong, you've got the tight end on the corner, and bless that safety's heart, number 20. He had a 300-pound dude that tackle on him to the field. And number 14 in the slot, number 2 in the slot, does a good job of getting all the way back across and ends up a 90-yard touchdown. Now, once again, for everybody chimes in here a little bit, I just look at it, and like you said, Keith, I remember the days when the quarterback under center would open up and take that sprint draw about the same depth as Etienne gets the ball here, and he would start maybe 1 step play side, but he would cut that ball back because essentially you were taking advantage of a fast flow linebacker. And I think that's exactly what this is. But modern day football, once again, we're in the pistol as we do it.
Let's take a look at the video of the play. So as you mentioned, Charlie, it looks like we have a kind of a turn back protection here for what could have been a sprint out block. And I know, Zach, you'll give some insight into a little bit to the Clemson playbook here and what they look at. But going back to the beginning of the play, as you mentioned, I think a key to this is that you do want to get beat across your face. And we see that this might have hit a little bit more downhill even. But number 73, the right tackle there, is a little fast to get out to level 2. So ideally, he lets that guy flow across his face, and that guy essentially is going to take himself out of the play and open up a huge running lane. Now, plenty of options for where he can take the ball when you handle this the right way. But you see those linemen out there and running, and a lot of space for Etienne to make a decision on where to go with the football, and certainly picks the right place.
And if you run it back, Zach, watch number 14, the slot. Something tells me this isn't the first time this ball's cut all the way back, though, because he doesn't block anybody, and he's over here in a hurry to the boundary. He shows up at the end of this play right there. So I think this ball probably cuts back probably about as much as it heads straight up the field, but I can see exactly where it's almost like the way we do, we talk about a zone, right? We talk about the inside zone cutting back, but really in actuality, it ends up hitting over top of where the front side A gap or center is by the time the line gets moving and all that. I think that's what's going on here.
And Zach, you seem to have some thoughts about what Clemson likes to run this against and what they might do if the defense showed up in a one high.
Yeah, Keith. So you see pre-snap here, Georgia Tech's in two high right here. So against two high, they'll keep this little sprint draw on. But if they get one high here, some sort of main or cover three look, they'll check to a smash concept out here to the field. Number one on the white hitch, like you see right there, and number two on this corner route. See right here, he kind of half jogs this corner, but then like Charlie said, he gets back across the field here to get a block. But yeah, just like Charlie was saying, this is turn protection. It's almost blocked like a zone play. I mean, it's a concept that I know Clemson's been running for probably almost 10 years now, back when Chad Morris started there.
Bless that safety's heart.
Well, let's take a look at play 2 here this week. We're going to go to the Oklahoma game here.
All right, yes, this is Oklahoma versus Houston. Pretty much this is textbook Oklahoma here, 21 personnel with a split back set. You got the receiver out here to the left. You got a twin set out here to the left with split backs. And what they're doing here is they're running like a mid zone concept against Houston's quarters coverage. So what happens is number 27 is going to wind back and kick out that backside defensive end. And when he does that, that's going to force those linebackers to rock back. So pre-snap, 42 is fitting that front side B gap, and 24 is fitting that front side or that backside A gap. But when 27 goes back door to cut off that backside defensive end, now 42 is going to play that backside A, and 24 is going to play the backside C, while 98, the defensive end, is going to play the D gap. So this is going to force the weak side safety here, number 2. Now he has to fit that B gap from like 12 yards of depth, which is tough. But what I really like here is how Oklahoma crack the safety here, the weak safety. So number 8 is going to push upfield like he's blocking the corner. Then once he sees that safety come out to fit the run, he's going to come up, put his foot in the ground, and crack the safety. Now that's going to force the corner to now be the force player, and he has to crack replace. And as everybody knows, like Alex Gibbs has always said, corners are terrible tacklers. So now you're forcing a corner and an open field to tackle one of the best running backs in the country. So I'll go ahead and roll the tape. As you see right there, number 80 comes upfield like he's going to block the corner, puts his foot in the ground, comes down, cracks the safety. Now that's forcing the corner to crack, replace, and that's just a mismatch right there. Houston's corner on Sermon, one of the best backs in the country. But like I was saying here with the run fits, you can see right here 42 is this front side linebacker who's playing the front side B gap pre-snap. Now he has to rock back into that backside A with that split flow. And the field linebacker here, now he's got to rock back into that C gap. So you're messing with the defense's run fits. Now the safety has to come up and play that B gap, and now he's getting cracked. Now you got to crack replace. So I mean, the offense is changing they're changing the run fits like crazy here twice on the defense here on this one play right there with the split flow. Then once again with the crack.
I really like the offensive line play here of 52 and his patience in getting up to level 2. I mean, he does a good job of helping out, letting that guy see him overlap and be able to take that gap. He still has time to step off to that linebacker, especially with the way they flow, like you said, rock back into those gaps there. And now you got some good angles for those guys who climb to level 2. You see on the other side, that guy goes the wrong linebacker, but really with where the play's hitting, it's inconsequential on this particular play. I think the other thing I want to point out, and it's so important in football today, is watch technique here on this crack block. I like that we're seeing more and more of this block actually being coached. You know, if we had gone back even a few years ago, you'd see that guy come in and basically try to take this safety's head off. And we don't want that anymore. I mean, this game is physical. You know, we've made an emphasis on rule changes to protect the players. This is still a great block, a great football play. He does it with great technique here and fitting this guy, being patient, coming to balance, and being able to fit on and win this block here with the safety. And, you know, I'd like to see more of that, Coach. I still see too many highlights that guys will post on Facebook or social media that, you know, have kind of that old school crack block with a guy who's not seeing it come in and making the block there. So legal block. We have a great matchup then, like Zach said, on that corner, and I think that's a matchup anybody will take when you look at that running back versus that corner.
Yeah, Keith, one thing I want to add here is I learned this over my years of studying Alex Gibbs and the whole wide zone system is the receivers here are taught to make sure to push up field first into the corner before they come out and crack the safety. So if this receiver right now flies down right now to try to get that safety, that corner's going to be right there sending that 3 or 4 yards. He's in a much better position to make the tackle. But as he pushes up here, see right here, I mean, pushes up, that's going to be a late crack replace. Doesn't allow him to fit at 3 or 4 yards. Instead, he's fitting from 8 yards, 10 yards. So I mean, it's just the small details. And Keith, like you said, this offensive line here just knows that these backers are going to rock back, so they can stay on the doubles even longer.
Yeah, and that's an Alex Gibbs concept too. You see a lot of coaches, and when they coach the wide zone play, you just step to your gap responsibility. But there's no threat here immediately for number 52. And, you know, with the way Gibbs coaches it, we want to take care of level 1 first before we climb to 2. And, you know, it's so many differences just schematically and how you can block that. But I've always liked and have installed and kind of been from that Alex Gibbs school of thought with how you block the different types of zones. And there's definitely, you look at the course here, I mean, he's on a wide zone track.
Yep, definitely. All the way. And they got an end zone shot right here after the play that I'll show. You'll be able to see a lot better.
If you look at the defensive end to the offense's left, you know, he's having some things happen to him, but probably not what he thinks. In other words, you look at Hurts and you take number 27 coming back across the blocking right here, and yeah, it looks exclusively like read option. And you know, however they're going to play that, it looks like to me they're going to play him on Hurts and have the backside linebacker, play side, however you want to look at it. He's sitting right there for the running back, right? But as you keep looking at it, you know, it's split zone. And so he's about to have some things happen to him, but not what he thinks, meaning, you know, Zach's done a good job of putting the sequence up, as you'll see here in a second. But, you know, anything coming back to him right now, this is not read option. You know, they're blocking him, you know, that's like it's a fullback or a tight end blocking him, and it's a running back. And they're blocking a defensive end that's about probably whatever, 280, 290 probably. So.
Yeah, I want to add one more thing here to this play that I noticed is studying some of what the Rams did last year and some of what Jim McNally has talked about in the past is watch his right tackle here. He's not necessarily, you know, he's not firing out trying to really reach this guy. He's almost like a little short pass set right here with the right foot, using a strong left inside hand and just widening that B gap right there, you know, because this ball is really not going to hit outside the tackle. And really, they don't want it to. They want it to hit right in the B gap like it does. So he's trying to influence that end up the field a little bit, then just pin him out.
Yeah. I worked with Jim for 3 years at the Bills. And, yeah, I mean, essentially, he's just going to cover him up. I mean, he's just going to put his big 59 on top of him and blob him to death.
So this kind of sets up what we're going to look at here next from this game in Oklahoma. Very similar set. The run game is, essentially the same look right here. Though I do think this is probably definitely a called flat screen here. But again, the effect on the defense, you saw the last time 98 felt like initially they were trying to read him. He makes that block easy for 27 on the split flow. Now you see this time he's going to come flatter and think, all right, I got to, take on his blocker. And the blocker essentially just slips him and goes flat down the line. And, typically when you look at kind of this setup, this 20 or 21, I think 80 he's a bigger body. He might be a tight end. So whatever it is personnel wise for him, but the 2-back set, you see a lot of teams take the other back and either on the snap or with some early motion, he gets into a swing course right there, which causes, definitely some different fits to what's happening. There's the recognition right away that a screen could happen over there by the corner and the overhang and even the safety when you see that. But now with nobody immediately threatening and those guys coming off the ball hard, potentially, those guys have to have the respect that they could be running routes. So they can't immediately attack those guys and take it on. And you're going to see some space here now for 27 who's going to slip into the flat. And it's one of the plays we talked about last week, that flat screen, that concept. And I think it adds another dimension to those teams who, like to play around with this and read defenders and block defenders. And now we're going to get him slipping into the flat. And you're going to see a lot of space for him here. So let's take a look at the video. And watch right away the end and the reaction. So the last time he was screaming upfield, really carrying out some responsibilities. He's still upfield, a little bit more hesitant and aware of that guy. And that guy just slips right around him in the flat. Now, it's a good thing that that line is not visible to the officials because he is slightly over the line, which would make this illegal just on the timing of the blocks. But, again, those guys have to stretch with them. I'd say, the outside guy certainly sells it a little bit more. You see that 80 has some leverage right here. And, again, a good matchup, a bigger body on that overhang. And now the safety has to fill from the inside. And, like I said, there's a lot of space here for that play, an easy throw. And, even if that safety were to come down on it, you see that you also still have the ball in Jalen Hurts' hands if everything got covered up.
Yeah, Keith, just like the last play, it looks like Houston's in a quarters coverage here again. We'll make this Mike Backer right here. He's responsible for 3 to the flat. But he also has to play this C gap and squeeze this backside C gap. So you see right here, he's thinking last time he got run, he's trying to squeeze that backside C, but he also has to play 3 to the flat. So, this time the H-back slips and goes to the flat, and he's completely uncovered. It's just one of the many ways that Riley puts defenses into conflict.
Yeah, I think a lot to be said about the sequencing of plays and just building things to look alike, right? A big concept of guys like Homer Smith and Tubby Raymond creating the look-alike plays to really put the defense in conflict, to make them think, you're doing one thing and then all of a sudden you're running something else off of it.
Yeah, the play that was actually in between this was very similar to the first play where there was motion, and then they threw the bubble to the motion guy. So, Lincoln does a great job of spreading the field, not only formationally but just using every part of it with his game plan too. And so right now, this quarters might as well end up being covered too, because neither one of these safeties have gotten involved yet. I mean, exactly. That's the idea. You play quarters is your safeties you're really thinking that they're going to be a big part of everything underneath. And we've watched these plays, and I watched some of them in between, and they're running a lot, but they're not a factor. And just like Keith said, I mean, not against Houston, but against Texas, the Red River Classic, you look up and they need, you need 4 or 5 yards right now. This back's going to lead up and block that safety, and you're going to have Jalen Hurts running on air.
Oh, yeah.
Well, 3 plays again this week, but I think a lot to learn from here and look at. And it's not necessarily that you're going to use these exact plays, but I think there's a lot conceptually here that you can build off of. I know a lot of high school teams, for example, use sprint out and sprint protection, and now being able to add a wrinkle there and create some space in the run game off of that. And then just looking at some of this split flow, again, a lot of teams use that 20 personnel. And what can you do within your schemes to be able to do some of these things, again, to get the ball to a playmaker in space? Because, that's what happens on each one of these. We create some space for a guy to make some plays.
Yeah, and we watched, conveniently, we've taken probably 2 of the top 3 college quarterbacks, going into this year anyway. And looked at them, with the third being Tua. But yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Now you've got a tremendous threat in college football here, with Hurts having the chance to get on the edge, and which he did a ton Saturday, and make things happen on his own. I don't know if they're going to do that with Trevor Lawrence very much. He's certainly capable. He's a young guy and all that. But yeah, what I see is this, and this is coming from 9 years in the NFL and a lot of college ball before that. You're seeing a whole lot of schemes that don't require as much blocking. I mean, and the blocking that you do get, a lot of it's in space, and I'm sure that's where their fundamentals and technique time go. But even if you look at a lot of what the offensive line does, I'm not seeing a whole lot of ISOs. I'm not seeing a whole lot of even down, even pin pulls and things like that. I know there's still some of that, but this deal here is basketball on grass. I mean, and now everything we watched here, they haven't huddled yet. I mean, if you were watching the game, there's no huddling. These plays are coming at Houston fast.
I think that's so key, Charlie, when you look at, especially, high school football early in the season, when you're going to have new linemen playing almost every single year. And how can you help them out? Well, like you said, the fewer guys to block, the better, right? And everybody now has a lot of athletes in space. And, there's things you can do as a coach schematically to kind of help those guys out and put them in good situations. And, I mean, Oklahoma's a great offensive line, so it's not like they don't want those guys blocking. But, you see a lot of red and white there kind of just running free and out of position, though, out of the play.
Yeah, you got people running, but they're running the wrong direction. And so I think I probably come back to this most weeks, but it's just the way I look at football. I'm looking at it as a youth coach to a high school coach to a college coach to an NFL coach. And we always like to, we like to correlate those as much as we can. And I think we should. And I really believe that, this is just, everybody's got an opinion, but I believe as far as the youth, high school, and college, this is great teaching because you may come out and have a bunch of Charlie Corners on your team that you're not big, you're not fast, you're not blocking. I think these type of things are great for that. Now, I think as you get to the higher level, I think it's going to be an interesting experiment this year at Arizona. We've already seen Chip Kelly try it. I just think the problem at the NFL level is that if they lock up on you man coverage and get out of those 2 high safeties, now you're talking about the answer still the same. There's 2 answers. One answer is to beat the people over the top with the pass, and the second answer is your quarterback takes off and runs it. And once again, I always reference that hard walk down the hallway to explain to the owner why that $15 million quarterback got hurt on bootleg running around out there. So it's a little bit different, but a little bit the same for all the leagues. But for a high school or a youth team, I mean, there's a lot to learn right here. And Keith made a lot of, he made a good point about your fundamentals. Don't you spend your time, at least I bet Oklahoma and Houston does, they should spend their time blocking in space, because that's what they do a lot of.
Well, guys, another great All-22 Tuesday. We continue this conversation every week on Wednesdays on our podcast, USA Football's Coaching Coordinator Podcast, in a series we're calling Trends Day. Airs every Wednesday, and we start to focus a little more. We'll mention some of these plays, but some of the things, the trends we're seeing around football, that's NFL, college, even high school, and looking at things that guys are using more of this year. So we're going to continue the conversation over there. Be sure to check that out, as well as the blogs at USA Football, blogs.usafootball.com. Zach writes up some of these articles, both from the podcast and from this video every single week. And Charlie, I'll let you share all the information on all the things you guys are doing at First Down Playbook as well.
Absolutely. If you'll come over, obviously, we put a play up every Tuesday on all 22 Tuesday at blog.firstdownplaybook.com, and that's absolutely free, and there's something that goes up there every day. And then if you're a First Down Playbook member, Coach, anytime we do something with Keith and USA Football and football development, we put it in the playbook, and so you can go in and make adjustments for for your team, and they're already drawn up for you. So we're happy to do this each and every week.
Well, guys, I look forward to it again. Zach, thank you for your analysis as well. And again, check out everything we're doing on Twitter. For us, it's at FBDEV Coach, and for First Down Playbook, it's at FD Playbook. Charlie and Zach, thanks again for your time, and I look forward to doing this again next Tuesday.
Hey, we got the Packers and the Bears Thursday night coming up next week, so it doesn't get any more NFL than that. So here we go.